So good morning, everyone, and for many of you, welcome back. Thank you for tuning into this UPD webinar for marketing authorization holders related to variations not requiring assessment. My name is Alejandro Plat. I work in the Veterinary Strategic Support Office as Change Management Support at EMA's Veterinary Medicines Division. Today's webinar focuses on management of VNRAs, the automation of VNRAs related to the marketing authorization holder with contact details, and we will also include a demonstration on the creation of a parallel trade product. These two functionalities as being delivered as part of the UPD post-go live requirements. Before starting with the event, a few housekeeping messages. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a 20-minute session for your questions. We will ask you to please type your question into the chat. So we'll not be able to take all questions today. You can always reach out to us via the functional mailbox vetchange.program@ema.europa.eu. Please be reminded that today's webinar is being recorded for training purposes, and it will be made available on EMA website in the coming weeks. All presentations will be circulated by email to attendees. By continuing to be in the session, you are consenting to be recorded. Your personal data will be processed by EMA in accordance with Regulation 2018/1725. So you not agree, we kindly ask you to leave the meeting. After this short introduction and without further ado, I will now give the floor to Olivier Simon, Project Manager of the Union Pro database. Olivier, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alejandro. Can I just check, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Right, so the agenda for today, I will give you as topic 2 an overview of the UPD project. Hopefully that will be just a reminder for most of you, all of you, but then also give you a bit of an insight in our plans for the next few months. And then, as Alejandro already introduced, Ana Vicente will give you an update on VNRAs and also a demo. And then it's back to Alejandro, who will give you some more information of where you can find help and release notes and so on, and support. And then we have a question and answer session. So that's the agenda. Let's start without further ado. So my name is Olivier Simon, and I'm the project manager for UPD. So first topic, UPD project overview. Next slide, please. So the UPD project is mandated by Regulation 2019/6, in particular Article 55, and you have the text here in italics on the slide. Operationally speaking, what are the objectives of UPD? Well, it's a central common database on information about veterinary medicinal products, but also about the availability of those VMPs. To that end, we will use as much as possible structured data, controlled vocabularies, which will of course help the data quality of the databases itself, but also the regulatory processes. And also because we use as much as possible controlled vocabularies, that also makes the structured electronic exchange of product data between competent authorities, agencies, and marketing authorization holders possible. And of course, the idea is that we would use UPD to allow integration or to integrate UPD in the activities of the regulatory network to provide support for the business processes there. Next slide. To that end, the main functionalities of UPD are, first of all, for NCAs, provisioning of product information. To that end, they have a web user interface and an API. An API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it is a piece of software that allows machines to communicate between them automatically without the need for human data entry or human intervention. So NCA's, national competent authorities, have this web user interface and API to allow them to provide product information. not only what we call the legacy data, which they have been uploading between July last year and March, and there's still a bit missing, but I think we're almost there. But they use the same channels also to provide new and updated product information. Similar tools are available for MAHs, marketing authorization holders, so yourselves, to provide information on sales and availability. Today only a user interface, but we also have plans to make an API available for you. Then a new concept that is introduced by the regulation and which is supported by UPD is variations not requiring assessments, VNRAs. That's the subject of today. And as you will see, UPD is the tool that supports the business processes for that new concept, VNRAs. Once we have all of that information in UPD, we want to really make it available. So to that end, we have, first of all, the public website where the general public can find back not all, but a lot of the information. And then, of course, for yourselves and the NCAs, you have the user interface and also the API, where you can then get the information, access to the information that you are entitled to. If you speak about access, the tool or the system that we use for that is the EMA account management system, which is the tool or the system that is being used for all other EMA and a lot of network IT systems. Advantage is one account for all IT systems. And I referred earlier to the usage of controlled vocabularies. The controlled vocabularies that we use are the SPOR controlled vocabularies. SPOR stands for Substances, Products, Organizations, and Referentials. And it's a series of systems that provide controlled vocabularies on organizations. Referentials is lookup lists, substance and products. I think is rather self-explanatory. Next slide, please. The information that you find in UPD in terms of the categories of products, it's of course the authorized veterinary medicinal product, but also homeopathic products and also the products allowed in accordance with Article 5.6. When we say information, of course, we talk about the structured product information, but also the documents, SPC, patient leaflet, labeling, and so on. And then also the information on the annual volume of sales availability and the, let's say, more transactional information related to the business processes for VNRA. So that is the main information that we have in UPD. Next slide, please. In terms of the project itself, so we started the project early 2020. We had the first test release available in September 2020. At that point in time, limited functionality, only API, only NCAs. We follow a relatively agile approach. Every 3 weeks, we have a new release available, which we deploy in the test environment and also in the production environment. And that led us then to July 2021, where we had a release available that allowed NCAs, National Competent Authorities, to start uploading their legacy data. After that, we continued with 3 weekly releases to finally come to the point in time on the 28th of January 2022, version 1.5, where we had the main regulatory functionality. And since then, we are continuing with the 3 weekly releases to improve the quality of the software, but also to provide new functionality. Which brings us to this week. Next slide, please. Where we are going live with version 1.6.8. We are actually deploying this in production as we speak today and tomorrow. The main scope of this is, of course, improved quality, so what we call prioritized defect fixes. Maybe a few words on what do we call prioritized. So we have a group of representatives of NCAs and MAHs, what we call the product owner group, and they help us to specify the requirements for new functionalities. but they also help us to understand what are the most urgent defect fixes that are required. So we get together with representatives of that group on a weekly basis. We look at what are the issues, the defects, the bugs that we have in the system, and what do we need to get fixed as quickly as possible. And that then drives the scope for the next sprint, for the next release. So there's a whole set of prioritized defect fixes that we will have in release 1.6.8, but also in terms of new functionality, parallel trade, and then 2 requirements on relating to VNRAs, automation of product owners, and then the download of the metadata submitted. And I will come back to that later. For detailed information on the functionality that we will make available in 168, you can always find this back in the release notes. You have the link here. We will send the slides after the meeting. The link brings you to the page on the EMA corporate website, where you can find all the release notes and example test files and everything you need to really. After this release 168, we continue. As I said, every 3 weeks we have a new release, providing functionality prioritized by this UPD product owner group that I referred to earlier. What can you expect? More automation of VNRA, also API functionality for NCAs to approve, reject VNRA, and a lot more than that. When you get the slides, please have a look at Annex 1, where you can see the indicative scope for the next releases between now and end of the year, and even Q1 next year. And I think, Alejandro, that is my last slide. So I will hand over to Ana Vicente for the next topic. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Olivier, and good morning, everyone. So I'm Ana Vicente, the business analyst of the Union Product Database. And this part of the presentation, what I will explain you, or I will give you an update on the current status of the variations not requiring assessment. And then we will move to a demonstration. We are going to do 2 scenarios. And we will see now. Okay, so the update of the status of the variations not requiring assessment, we will go through the different scenarios that are valid under the current implementation. We also will review the scenarios that are invalid, so what you shouldn't send or what UPD will not allow you. And then we will review together what is coming next. Technical grouping, automation of variations related to ATC bit code, QPPB, and PSMF, and the ability to select more than one scope within the same submission. After this, we will move to the demos, and we will see the end-to-end scenario for the submission of a variation A1A related to the contact details of the marketing authorization holder, and also the creation of a parallel traded product. That is not as related to you because this is a functionality for NCAs, but it's relevant for you because these parallel traded products belong to marketing authorization holders. So they will be introduced in UPD and they will be published in the public portal. So next slide. Thank you. So starting with the scenarios that are valid under the current implementation. So a VNRA submission can contain one of several scopes, but they need to be unique to one or more UPD products in the following scenarios. So national products approved under national procedures belonging to the same responsible authority, or centrally authorized products, or a product approved under DCP or DCMR subsequent recognition procedure, so one of the multi-country procedures. So if you go to the presentation, the submission with ID 123 is valid because it only contains products that are for the Dutch agency, so national products approved under the Dutch agency. The variation submission 456 is also valid because contains only one DCP product, so it's 3 products, one from the Dutch agency, the other the Spanish and the French one, so are 3 products that are the same, and they all share the same product identifier. And finally, we have the submission 225 that is also valid because it's for centralized products. So now we are going to review what UPD will not allow currently. So next slide, please. Okay, so a marketing authorization holder cannot submit variations in the following scenarios. So the same scope cannot be repeated within the same submission. Second, a variation not requiring assessment cannot include products approved under national procedure belonging to different responsible authorities. Neither a variation cannot include products approved under different procedure types, and a variation cannot include products approved under different decentralized mutual recognition or subsequent recognition procedures, even if the reference member state is the same. So we are going to review now these scenarios. So the first submission, 1, 2, 3, is not valid for two reasons. One is because the scope B3A is repeated. So this is not possible today. And the second one is because contains products, national products that have been approved under by two responsible authorities, the Dutch agency and the French agency. The next example, the variation submission 456, is not correct because today we cannot add, or the marketing authorization holder cannot include within the submission more than one DCP, decentralized or mutual recognition or subsequent recognition product. In this case, we have 3, so it's not possible. And finally, we can, or the marketing authorization holder cannot include products from different procedure types. The submission ID 225, it contains centralized products and national products, and that's not possible today. So having reviewed these scenarios, we are going to see what is coming next during the next months. Next slide, please. Okay, what's coming next? We have the expected at the end of September, the technical grouping, that is the submission of variations not requiring assessment for products approved under different procedures belonging to different competent authorities. And apologies, this is a typo, so it's not national competent authorities, it's competent authorities because we can also include centralized products. So we are going to review this complex scenario, the submission ID 225. It's including centralized products, national products approved under the Dutch agency, Spanish agency, and French agency, and also contains 3 different decentralized products approved under decentralized procedures, whose reference member state is the Dutch agency for the first 2 ones and the German agency for the last one. So in this case, the marketing authorization holder will be able to submit the variation or these variations within the same submission, and then EMA, on behalf of the European Commission, will approve, reject all the variations that are related to the centralized products. The Dutch agency will approve or reject the ones related to the Dutch products, national Dutch products, and the same for the Spanish agency and the French agency. And now, who will approve, reject the ones for the decentralized products? So the Dutch agency, as the reference member state, will approve, reject the first 2 products. Okay, the variations related to the first 2 DCPs, and the German agency will approve the variations related to the third decentralized product. Next slide, please. So that's the technical grouping. And then in Q4 2022, we have more automation for variations. So today we will present the automation for the variation related to the contact details of marketing authorization holders. But we have the automation for VNRAs related to pharmacovigilance, QPPV and PSMF, and ATC bit code at the end of the year. So in Q4 2022. Next year, Q1, we will have another requirement related to variations, that is the capability to add the same scope more than once within the same submission. So in this case, you see the example, we have twice the code B3S and B3A. So today is not possible, but Q1 2023, it will be. And now this is what is coming next. We are moving to the demos before going to the UPD portal, I'm going to explain you the two scenarios that we will demonstrate today. So next slide, please. Okay, so during the demo, we are going to do first a submission of a variation A1A for products approved under a decentralized procedure. So in this case, will be 2 products. The actor or the marketing authorization holder in this case will be Zoetis, and the Dutch agency will be the one approving or rejecting the variations because it's the reference member state. So the Dutch agency will approve the variations, and the system automatically will update the products. This is new in this release. And then another thing, the Dutch agency will need to upload the documents that have been included in the VNRAs file by the marketing authorization holder. So in this scenario, we are going to demonstrate another two new functionalities of UPD. One is that the marketing authorization holder and also the NCAs, you will be able to download at any point in time the information about the VNRA submission in a PDF file. And we will demonstrate as well the upload of documents by the Dutch agency, in this case, through the bulk upload functionality. So this is the first scenario, and the second one will be the creation of a parallel traded product. This functionality, the requirements were gathered by the product owner group. According to the article 102 from the regulation, the parallel traded product is a product that a wholesale distributor will obtain from a source member state. In this case, is Finland, and it will be distributed in another member state, and in this case is the Netherlands, and it's called the destination member state. So the Dutch agency, as destination member state, has the obligation or the legal obligation, to make available to public the following information for each one of the parallel traded products that it owns. So in this case, it will be the name of the product, active substances, pharmaceutical forms, classification of the veterinary medicinal products in the destination member state, marketing authorization number of the product in the source member state and in the destination member state, and source and destination wholesale distributors. So these things, you will not be able to see the parallel traded products in UPD. You will be able to see if you are the marketing authorization holder of the source product, you will see this product, and also if you are the one of the destination member state, you will see the product in the destination member state. And why this is important? Because from Monday we are delivering this functionality. From Monday, NCAs will be able to upload or to create parallel traded products in UPD, and from Q4 this year, they will be available for public in the public portal. So I'm going now, this is the second scenario, and I'm going to move now to the UPD portal to proceed with the demonstration. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is the UPD portal. We are going to proceed with the first scenario, that is the submission of the variation by Zoetis, the marketing authorization holder. So first I will need to log in as the marketing authorization holder, Zoetis. Okay, I will need to go to the section of the variations, and then I will select submit variation not requiring assessment. Okay, the variation is the A1A, change in name or address or contact details of the marketing authorization holder. So I will add the variation, and now I need to retrieve the products that will be impacted by the variations. So it's two products under the same product identifier. It's a decentralized procedure. So I select the two products, and now we have the variation A1A with the two products belonging to the same decentralized procedure. Now, before proceeding with the submission, I'm going to explain something because we have received questions on how the documents need to be named, or also how to enter the property, the product identifier within the property files of the PDF. So as a marketing authorization holder, for this variation, you will need to submit the SPCs, the translations, and also the common one, because it's a a DCP and we need the SPC in English as well. So this is I have already prepared the documents. You will send something similar to this. This is the VNRAs file. So in the P1 folder, you should enter the SPCs. And we have three. We have the first one is the translation for Spain. The second one is EU from Europe, so is the common one, the one that will be in English. And the third one is the Dutch one. If you see the naming convention, this is from the naming convention is in the chapter 2 of the VET implementation guide in the annex 2. And what is mandatory that you provide is the country, that is the first two letters. In this case, if we take the first example, is Spain. The second part of the naming convention is the type of document. In this case, is SPC. The third part is the product name. And the last part is the language. Whatever you want to put in the middle, we will not validate. So you can enrich with more information the naming convention, but is not mandatory. What we need is the country, the type, and product name is really welcome, is recommended, but is not mandatory. So mandatory, country, type, and language, these three parts. And product name, we would appreciate if you can include it. So we have three documents, and now I'm going to explain how to enter the product identifier within the property files. So I'm going to open three of them. Okay, just to mention, I'm going to use Adobe Acrobat, but there are any other software tools in the market. So for the purpose of this presentation, I will use Adobe. In this case, if I take the Spanish PDF, just to show you that this one, I will go to File. I repeat more slowly. So I go to File, to Properties, and in the section Custom Properties, you can add here the property with the product identifier. In this case, the Spanish one is ready, and also the Dutch one. The one that is not ready is the one for the common, the English document. So I'm going to do the English one. Again, we press File and Properties. And then this is also explained in the Annex 2 of the Chapter 2 of the VET implementation guide. The name of the property needs to be always medicinal product definition.identifier. And then we will need to enter the product identifier. And just as a reminder, the product identifier is the identifier that is common to all the products that are under the same DCP or MRP or SRP procedure. So in this case, I'm going to add, I'm going to press OK, and I need to record to save the document. Now it's saved. So I close all the tabs. And just to double check, I go and I open the English one that is recorded. And indeed is there. Okay, why it's important that we record, that we put the correct naming convention and the product identifier? Because the competent authorities will use the bulk upload functionality. If the documents doesn't have the correct name and the product identifier within the property files, the bulk upload functionality that we will see later will not work. So it's really important that you name and you also enter the product identifier in the property files. Now that everything is ready, okay, it should be, is the zip file, the VNRAs. So I'm going to attach the zip file with the three documents. Okay, just a second. So is this one. And now I will need to enter the information. So I'm going to start with the submission comment, where I will indicate to the Dutch national agency what is the change that I want to do. So here, really important, I cannot see the whole comment. So what you will need to do if your comment is large, you will need to expand the box of the comment. So here now, what we are doing is just indicating to the NCA, to the Dutch agency, that we want to change from the current location of this marketing authorization holder to another location in Belgium. So these are the details. And then I'm going to select now the correct loc ID from the marketing authorization holder. So if we go to the comment, what we want to change, we want to select Mercury Strat. Mercury Strat. Here, because maybe you will wonder why we have twice Mercury Strat. Okay, this is a test environment. In production, there is only one. This is a test environment, so that's why you see duplicates. But in production, you will only find one result. So in this case, I will select one. The date of the implementation, it was indicated in the comment, was 1 of September. We have the new address, we have the date of implementation, the zip, the BNIS file, and now I will accept this. This is the commitment. I am telling to the Dutch agency that I am fulfilling the conditions from the implementing act of the variations not requiring assessment. The Commission implemented regulation 2021-17. So let me see. Here, the date of implementation. I'm missing this one. Okay, so now we have everything. I'm going to proceed with the submission. Okay, so I will record the operation outcome, and that's recommended because if you are submitting a variation and you have an issue later, you can report to user support this operation outcome, and they will know what has happened with your variation. So I will record. I'm going to log out now, or I'm going to double check that the submission went through. So if I go to variations, view variation, here the submission 504 is the variation that I have just submitted. So this is the webinar from today, and this is the BNIS file that we were adding. So I'm going to log out now, and I will use a test user for the Dutch agency who will need to approve the variation. Okay, important. Same functionality for marketing authorization holders and NCAs. From Monday, you will be able to download always the PDF of a VNRA submission. So in this case, you will press here on the right, and the PDF will open. The PDF will be always aligned with the information, the current information in the submission. So in this case, for example, the submissions, the variations have not been approved yet, so they will stay as pending. So the submission status is pending, and the same for the variations not requiring assessment. You have here all the information, the two variations that are within this one. And once that it gets approved, when you download the PDF, the details will change, and you will see that it has been approved with the date of the approval. So that's a new functionality. Because I need to assess the variation not requiring assessment submission, I will need to download the BNIS file. I need to see the documents, and then I will open the submission. Okay, in this case, I'm going to approve all of them. I will add a comment. That's we always mention to the competent authorities. It's really important that if they need to communicate you something, they will need to add it in the decision comment. So in this case, we don't have a message. Everything is correct. I will adjust the date of today for the webinar. So the date of the decision is today. The author of the decision, I will write test. Okay, and I think everything is ready. We are going to check. So the proposed value by the marketing authorization holder is this one, Mercury Strat. The old value is this one. And just to mention another change that is really important and is coming. In the Q4 of this year, everywhere in the UPD portal where you see an organization will be always together with the loc ID. So today you read, so it is Belgium, and now you can see it will be as a string in the text, you will see also the log ID, because in some parts, even you cannot see, you cannot see the location, so you don't see which one you have selected. So everything is correct. I have already checked the documents and they are correct. I'm going to approve the two variations. So approve and approve, both have been approved. And what is different from the previous versions of UPD is that at this point in time, in the current version of UPD, the NCA will need to go to each one of the products and it will need to perform the change to do an update. And now the system is automatically updating the two products. So the NCA will not need to do anything, just the documents. So here we have the products, and now we can go to the notifications. Okay, VNRA approved, and now we will need to wait for two notifications for the updates. They have been approved. The changes will be automatically updated by the system, by UPD, and now the NCA needs to upload all the documents. And that's the other functionality that is new in UPD, that is the upload document here. Okay, so I am going to do a drag and drop because the system knows, because we have correctly named the documents and we have entered the product information. Okay, what we will do, I will look for the documents. I will select the three documents and I will drop on this screen. And then I will submit the documents. So the files have been sent. And now again, the system is going to update the English document for the two products, and then the Spanish document for the Spanish product and the Dutch for the Dutch product. So again, if I move to notifications, I'm going to see, so UPD is not all the processes are not is not a synchronous process. So sometimes we will need to wait and sometimes we'll be quick. So in this case, these are the approved documents. What we can do is to go to search for the product and to review the documents if they have been or not updated. So in this case, that's the product identifier. Okay. Yes, I will check if it's the correct one. Yes. So this is the document that we were uploading. Is the webinar marketing authorization holder with the date of today. It has been uploaded. That's the Dutch one, and now also the European one. So if we go here, the same, the two documents have been uploaded automatically. That's why it's important really that you enter the property, the product identifier within the property file. So this was the first scenario. Okay, and now we are going to move to the second one. It's not really a functionality for you, but just that you understand how the parallel traded products will be entered in UPD. And once that they are entered, this is from Monday, during the Q4, we don't know yet the exact date, they will be available in the public portal. So how the NCA will create a parallel traded product? So as a Dutch agency, I will come to create and I will select parallel traded product. I need to enter the product name, sorry. So I will enter the name. In this case, is in Dutch. Okay, remember that it's a product that is from Finland and is going to be distributed in the Netherlands. And one of the conditions is that in the Netherlands and in Finland already exist and authorized products sharing some conditions. Like, for example, these products, they need to have the qualitative and quantitative composition in terms of active substance and excipients needs to be the same, and as well for the pharmaceutical form. And another conditions that are in the Article 102 of the regulation. So we go here. I will select Netherlands, so we have the product name. And because these two products, as I was mentioning, needs to exist, I need to select the product in the source member state. So I will select the permanent identifier. And the product in the, this was the source. And this is the second product. So we have both. We have the product in the destination, the product in the source, and now some information has been already populated, like the pharmaceutical form, the legal status for the supply. Documents, if the documents have been already provided by the wholesale distributor in the national language, also will need to be uploaded. We have a bug here, and today I cannot upload the document. Then the active substances, this is a retrieve because this is the same in the destination and the source product, so it's populated by the system. And then the NCA will need to enter the regulatory information, entitlement information. So source wholesale distributor, a parallel traded product can have more than one. So we are going to add 2 in this case. Okay, that's the second. And now the destination wholesale distributor. In this case, can only be one. So we can have more than one source wholesale distributor, but only one destination wholesale distributor. Okay, so entitlement number. Country, again, the Netherlands. Responsible authority is the Dutch agency. Okay. And marketing authorization date, 1 of September. So everything is ready, and then we need to create the parallel traded product. So again, I will need to record the operation outcome. This is same for every operation that we do. And if I have an issue, I will need to communicate to the user support. Now we are going to come back. It could be that it's created or not. Okay, let's see. But we can see that the notifications for the bulk upload were okay and are already there. And then for the parallel trade, I'm going to try to enter part of the product. And if it's not there, I will display just another that was created during another session. Okay, this is the webinar, not this one, the one that we had the other day, but later it will appear as well, the product that I have just created. Just this is for information because the product will not, this parallel traded product will not be available for you. If you are the marketing authorization holder of the reference product in the source member state, you will see this product. And if you are the owner of the product in the destination member state, you will see the other product. What we want to mention here is that this information will be entered by the competent authorities from Monday, and then Q4, it will be available in the public portal. So that's the parallel traded products. And here, this is the second scenario. Ready, Alejandro, so you can continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for that. Okay, so this brings us, after Anna's demonstration, to a reminder to all industry users about where you will be able to find complementary information and the available supporting materials and channels that you have at your disposal. So first of all, with regard of supporting materials, they already published some bite-sized videos at our EMA's website, where we showcase as more functionalities are being deployed in the production environment, you will be able to find useful videos, tutorials to see how can you proceed and from an industry user perspective, no? As more functionalities, as I said before, are being deployed, we will be also developing and uploading more videos. Then if we go, here we'll also include some links that of previous webinars, UPD webinars for market authorization holders, because as we did and we will do with this one, we'll make available the recording. So it's available for to watch it, and also any supporting materials and such as presentations. Then regarding Q&As, UPD Q&As, we are currently working on those. So these are updated accordingly with the system and how functionalities are being deployed in the system. Not only that, but also we would like to mention also the best practice guides from CMDB, and there is also a review ongoing to have a full alignment with respect of VNRAs. There was a question in the chat. Well, it wasn't a question, but when Anna was mentioning where to find the naming convention details, it's available in the UPD implementation guide section in chapter 2. So you also find these here in this link. Next will be the VMPREC newsletter. We are publishing it, our newsletter on a quarterly basis. So the next one to be published soon, and as usual, we will share it with our industry colleagues. Then we are moving to the list of contacts per NCA published at the CMDB website. So we are receiving at our functional mailbox, and we have received emails from different industry colleagues with regard of problems or issues contacting NCA colleagues. So here, if you don't have available an NCA contact point, you will be able to find in the CMDB corporate website the procedural contact points. So, and you have it here at the end of the page, which is Excel link, Excel document per country. You can filter also by the type of contact. So in this case, you have for advice, general issues, and also for UPD. And finally, the UPD release notes. So this is your really first source of information when it comes to functionalities being deployed in the system. And so next week, next week after the new version, so 168 will be deployed in production, and for the following, we as per usual publish at this webpage the release notes. So just to highlight a few points in the release notes, we are receiving also at our functional mailbox and to the service desk some queries regarding information that beforehand could be found in the release notes. So first of all, the first part that is of importance for everyone, no, for any UPD user, will be the scope of the version. So here as marketing authorization holder user interface. So you will first have an overview of what is being deployed in terms of functionality. Then if you, or let's say if I, as an MAH, I had logged into the service desk ticket, and I would like to, after the deployment, have a look or to know whether my issue or this issue is being resolved. Then if you follow scrolling down in the release notes in 2.2 section, you will be able to find these. Also, when you log a ticket, you have assigned to that as it's called an issue reference. So, for example, I'm going to look for my ticket, whether it has been resolved or not. So, in this case, as an MA and as an MAH, I see that it's been included in the resolve as issues section. Normally, there is a little bit of background information explaining what the issue was about, and then whether it has been resolved or not. Also, this issue reference number is very useful for, well, it's used by the service desk team. So when they are managing all issues logged into the service desk, and also you can include as a user this reference number when contacting the user support on this topic, but not like in first place, but after having had a look, no, or to the resolve to the release notes. And then, for example, if I have another ticket logged as a UPD user, in this case, trying to find whether it was included in the resolve section or not. In this case, it's not included in the resolve section, but in the annex 2 of the release notes, so in the known issues section. So here, so meaning that if it's included here, it will be resolved in the coming releases. Also taking into account, as explained before during Olivier's presentation, with the product owner prioritization. So now, if we go back to the slides, so here there is an example of some user supports requests that were included already in the release notes, and basically, an industry user was asking for a bug that it was documented in the release notes. Secondly, moving on to the available support channels that the UPD has. So for UPD system-related issues, as usual, to be submitted by the service that of the VMP-Reg. Then for any other system-related issues that may affect you as MAHs, to use the general EMA service desk. For any regulatory queries via Ask EMA, and for any other issues or question, we will be available at vetchange.program@ema.europa.eu. And finally, but not least, we would like to make an update on how the legacy data submission is going with regard of MRDC products. So a few months ago, back in February, March, we were talking about on the national data set completeness rate about a 30% completion. And nowadays, we are almost in the 100%, so we are in 95%. And over these last months, all the EMA team have been working together with NCA colleagues, so that this rate is increasing progressively, and also taking into account the impact that this has mainly for VNRAs and also for pharmacovigilance pharmacovigilance purposes as well. So it's just an update on how the national data and the legacy data is ongoing. So with that, now we can pass to our last part of the webinar, which is the Q&A session. So I'm just gonna go through the chat. There were some questions that were already addressed in the meantime. So there is a question from Begonia Gala. Once a VNRA is approved by NCAs in UPD, it is not possible to change any data on UPD, not even if there is a mistake in one of these data. For instance, decision date. Could it be possible to review this option in order to have the possibility of correct mistakes?
Okay, I will take this one, Alejandro. So indeed, it's not possible to correct any data when it has been submitted and once that has been approved or rejected. So if there is a need, because we see that there is a lot of mistakes by NCAs or by marketing authorization holders, of course, we will need to review the functionality. Just to remind you that we gather all the requirements with the product owner group. So they are representatives from the marketing authorization holders and from the competent authorities, EMA plus agencies. So if you have a need for the requirement or you think that we are missing something, you can contact the marketing authorization holders, product owners, and you can let them know which requirements could be included in our catalog. So in this case, Alejandro, maybe we could share with them the email or the contacts of the product owners. So if there is need for any requirement, that's the best way. We should all the requirements should come from the product owners. But today it's impossible, yes, to correct a mistake in a decision.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And yes, we will look into this. So there is the following question is with regard of the technical grouping, Anna. Is there a limitation of the number of products for a technical grouping?
So from the point of view of the UPD, the portal, no. So we don't have technical limitations. You can include all kind of products for different responsible authorities. Now, the CNDB group and also EMA together, they are working on the best practice guide, and the Q&As are from the part of EMA. So they will give some recommendations to you of what should be or not include. So I think they were mentioning that not every possible scenario should be submitted. Okay, so technically it's possible, but you should follow the recommendation from the best practice guide and the Q&As from EMA, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Then the following questions from Dario. Is it any expected date to include notifications?
So Dario, I don't understand the question. If you can clarify, please, for us.
If you raise your hand, Dario, yes, I will unmute you now. Hi, everyone. It's related with the notification system of the UPD. If there is any expected date when it should be available.
The notifications. But notifications today are available for both NCS and marketing authorization holders. And if we don't see them when we are performing the action like today, it is because they will be processed later. So all the processes, they go into a queue. And once for every action in UPD portal, the system is triggering notifications. So you should receive all of them. If you are not receiving them, then please, you should open to the user support team a request to know what's happening. Because
Sorry. I do receive the notification. I was somehow thinking if there is any email trigger or something like that.
Okay. That's different, yes.
Yeah.
So we have a requirement and we have just finalized the gathering of the requirements, the automatic sending of notifications by email. The analysis was completed and we will start working on the implementation in the Q4 2022. So expected for next year, hopefully Q1, otherwise Q2, we should have these emails, the sending of the notifications by UPD. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, there is a question from Nicola regarding as well technical grouping. So what happens if one of the competent authorities rejects the VNRA for this technical grouping? And the example is EMA, the Dutch agency, the French approve, and Germany will want to reject.
Okay, so nothing will happen because as was explained in the example, EMA on behalf of the Commission will approve, reject the ones related to EMA. So we can decide if we want to approve all of the variations related to the centralized products, or we want to reject 3 and approve 3. And the same, it will happen with the other responsible authorities. So I will receive, I'm going to put one example, as EMA, I will receive this technical grouping, this submission that we saw, and I will only be available to approve, reject the ones that are relevant for me. The other ones, it doesn't matter if the other responsible authorities are approving or rejecting. The system will treat them per responsible authority. And in the case of DCPs, MRPs, and SRPs, it will be the reference member state. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Then there is a remark regarding pharmacovigilance in Q4. What would include?
Yes. So regarding to pharmacovigilance, that we were also in one of the slides, is the automation of the variations related to the pharmacovigilance details. So QPPB, contact details, and PSMF. So to explain, today you can submit a variation for QPPB and for PSMF, and you will need to enter the data in the either in the submission comment or in the VNIS file. You will need to indicate which is the change or what are you trying to do with these variations. Today it's possible. What we are delivering in Q4 is the automation. Because we are expecting a lot of variations related to PSMF and to QPPB, because we are missing this data in UPD, what we are recommending to the marketing authorization holder is to wait until we have the automation. In this way, the competent authority will not need to go product by product updating the data. It will be automatically, like we have shown today during the demo, it will update the products automatically. So today you can use the variations for QPPB and for PSMF, but we recommend if you can wait until we deliver the automation just to reduce the burden for the competent authorities. So that's what we are delivering in Q4.
Thank you very much, Anna, for the update regarding the pharmacovigilance functionalities. So then, with regard of the first scenario of the demonstration, there's a number of questions on the property files, on the PDF file. So the first one from Luis Saavedra, the introduction of pod identifier in the properties of the PDF file requires manual manipulation of the files, which makes the processing compatible with publishing tools. Is that something that you could, I don't know.
So yes, the inclusion of the properties of the product identifier in the property files was defined by the product owners, again, representatives from both sides, marketing authorization holders and competent authorities. And we were aware when we were defining the requirements that this is a manual manipulation of the files. And also we understood that at least for centralized products, you were already doing adding this property or the some properties to the files that were provided to EMA. So we think that at least that you are continue with the work that you were doing because you were already providing properties to the files. But yes, indeed, this is a manual manipulation like I was doing during the demonstration. So I'm going to read the next one because it's also related to the product identifier, Alejandro.
Yeah, okay.
So it's possible to enter more than one product identifier? No. And that's a constraint, or it's something that we have we did realize that is increasing the work for you, for the marketing authorization holders. That's why we have started now the analysis based on the recommendations from the product owner group. We are going to start the analysis to be able to enter more than one product identifier per file. So the analysis will be done now, and hopefully we will start also the implementation during Q4 because we would like to reduce your work. And hopefully by Q1 2023 will be ready, that you can enter more than one. So next one, also product identifier. Should the product identifier be added to all documents in the submission? Yes, please. That's the idea, that the competent authorities can use the drag and drop later with the bulk upload functionality to upload these products in UPD, these documents into the products in UPD. So I think these are all the questions from product identifiers.
Yes. Thank you for that, Ana. And then there is a question from Carme Valdiorola. Is it possible just to refer to a cover letter within the submitted package in the submission comments field instead of explain the modification in this field?
Okay, so I will answer this one, Alejandro. So you need to follow, or we would appreciate if you can follow the recommendations from the best practice guide again, and the Q&As from EMA. So I think there are some recommendations related to where you should add these comments. In UPD, everything is possible, so you can add, and we will accept if you add in the comment or within the submission the beneath file. But you should follow recommendations from the NCAs and EMA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana. Then the next question is from Natalie. Is the operation outcome a new feature?
Okay, I will answer this, Alejandro. So the operation outcome for the variations not requiring assessment submission is not a feature itself, but we were realizing that we were receiving in the user support sometimes requests from the marketing authorization holders. You were commenting that one of the variations didn't reach, or you couldn't see your variation that was submitted. The competent authority couldn't see either the submission, and then it was a bit difficult for us and for you to know which submission it was. Now, this operation outcome is just to facilitate the work that if something goes wrong, you can report and you can give this number to the user support team, and then it will be much easier for us and later for you to identify your submission in the system. So that's from that point of view, maybe yes, it's a new feature. Yeah.
Thank you, Ana. Then there is another question from Carmen Valdirola. Is it possible to find a submitted variation and look for its status if the submission ID is missing?
Okay, there is a way. One is the notifications. So you can search for your products and then you can filter by action VNRA submitted, and you will see in the notifications screen your submission. This is one way that you can do today, a workaround. And next is coming. So we are implementing in Q4 a lot of search criteria in the variation not requiring assessment submission screen. So today you can only search by ID, but from hopefully, I always say hopefully, Q1 2023, you will be able to search by date, but by product name, by procedure type, by a status of the submission, a status of the variations. So you will have much more filters in the screen. So today is not possible from the VNRA submission screen. You will need to go to notifications in the case that you forgot your ID for your submission, but in the future, near future will be much easier.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Then our next question is from Silvia. Does the RMS approve the VNRAs for all CMSs too?
Yes, so all the variations, and this again, it was, we have implemented the UPD according to the requirements from the product owner group. So at the time of gathering the requirements, what it was defined is that for products approved under multi-country procedures, so decentralized mutual recognition and subsequent recognition procedures, always will be the reference member state, the one approving and rejecting the variations, even though the variation can impact only national data of a product. We have noticed that there is inconsistencies between what UPD, what you can do in UPD, and the best practice guide. Okay, so we are now looking with the product owners. We will need to see with them if we need to update the guide, or if there is a requirement, or if we should add the requirement in order to update or to amend UPD. But at the moment, technically, is the reference member state the one who has to approve or reject these variations.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for the clarification. Then there is a question from Eva. Currently, the size of the zip folders is limited to 50 megabytes. Will this be extended for technical grouped submissions, or would it be possible to upload more than one zip folder?
Okay, so it will not be possible to upload more than one zip folder. According to our understanding from the our architects from my team, you should be able to upload now a BNIS file with more than 150 megabytes. If that's not the case, because we are expecting bigger, with the technical grouping, bigger sizes, please let us know in the user support, and then we will see what's happening, because the system should allow bigger sizes, bigger than 50.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And the next question is from Sharon Armstrong. Will the new system allow you to add more than one of the same variation on UPD?
Of the same variation? Yes, this is what we were explaining, that will come in Q1 2023. I think you are referring to the scopes, for example, that you can add the variation to change a manufacturer more than one of this type of variation. I think it was one of them, B44, that you can add more than one. And in one of the examples in the presentation will be shared with you at the end of this week or beginning of next week. You will see that it's possible. It's explained there, and you will see that there is more than one scope within the same submission. But Q1 2023.
Thank you, Anna, for updating on what is coming in the next quarters. Then from Midori Nicolau, when I receive the approval, I have to upload a new time, the final SPC pro leaflet.
So I'm going to read again. I'll say, when I receive the approval, I have to load a new time, the final SPC. No, Okay, if I understand correctly the question, you don't need to upload again, because when you submit the variation, you should provide already the final species and package leaflets. So you should provide already the PDFs with the naming convention and the product identifier, and this should be the final version. If it's not correct, you will receive a rejection from the competent authority, and if it's correct, the competent authority will upload these final documents in UPD.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Then there is our next question is from Marlene. Is it possible to submit a VNRA as work sharing procedure?
I can take this one. Work sharing is not a VNRA, so if you have any questions related with work sharing, you can submit a question at Ask EMA to our Veterinary Regulatory Support Service. So work sharing is not a VNRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Catarina. Then the next question is from Nicola. Is system validated after new release? And if so, how validation works for this new release?
Okay, I think you mean if it's tested. So we test, if this is the question, so before releasing to production, so today we are releasing, is expected to be released the version 168 of UPD that should be available from Monday. We do all kind of testing, but not only in UAT, in the user test environment that is the previous to production. We do in all the environments. We always test what we are going to release. So yes, we do. We have a lot of testing. If that's not the question, please clarify or put your hand up, and then yes, we will answer.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Then the next question is from Greta. Considering that the variation can only be made if the availability status of VMPs in the UPD database are in marketed status, when will there be the change of all the availability status in marketed of all VMPs?
Okay, variation for the status, the availability status. So for availability status is the marketing. I don't know if I understood properly the question, but there is no variation for the availability status. So availability status is a functionality in UPD. I think we already demoed last January. It's a functionality that the marketing authorization holder will do through the functionality, provide availability status. You have a section in UPD specific for this, and it's made in a similar way to the volume of sales provision. So you will need to download your products. The availability status is provided at package level. So you will need to download the CSV file with all your products and packages, and then you will need to provide a CSV file with the current information on availability status and date for your products, for your packages and your products. So this is a specific functionality in UPD. More information is in the chapter 7 of UPD. You have the specifications there on how it should be submitted. And you have more information, of course, as well in the release notes.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Then there is a comment from Begoña, and it was already asked as well, whether the links and slides will be circulated. Yes, slides will be circulated after this webinar to participants. The next question is from Mike Inglis. So the CNDB contact points for UK Northern Ireland regarding comments, remarks on the UPD still mentions the responses mailbox at the VMD. Should this be changed to HPRA?
I will take this one. Hello, Michael. Nice to see your name again. No, we will not do this. We will, for consistency, the contact point will remain the same because the VMD is the regulatory authority for the products in Northern Ireland. Independent of the processes that might be in place, they should be the main contact point. Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. There is a question from Lucy. So I have noticed that the application form in your VNRAs example folder. However, as I understand, there is no need of application form in case of VNRA. Is that correct?
Okay, so this VNRAs file that I am using is test. Maybe it's something not correct in what I was displaying. You should follow again the recommendation from best practice guide and Q&As from EMA. So if it's not needed in APP form, just don't send it. But I don't know, because UPD will not validate what is within the VNRAs file. So this is something that you should follow the guidance of the VNRAs file. There is a guidance or the best practice guide or the Q&A. So there you will find more information. This was just for testing purposes, so it could be that there is a folder that shouldn't be there. But again, the best source to understand is the best, not the best practice guide, but the VNRAs guidance.
Okay, thank you very much, Ana. The next question is from Maria Ottman. We as MAH have a problem in finding all the national data updated. Many of our planned variations have been delayed due to this issue. We know that as MAH, it is our responsibility to follow up with RMS and CMS for the update. However, for Luxembourg, we tried different contact email and phone, but they are not responding at all. What can we do in this case?
I can take this one too. Maria, we are in close contact with the Luxembourg authorities, and currently more than 75% of their MRP-DCP products are updated in UPD. There are some still data missing. We are in close, like I said, in close contact. We are supporting them. Should you have identified some products that are still not available, please let us know. But you should always contact the Luxembourg authorities. So my suggestion to you is, if you find products that are still not updated, please send the email to the Luxembourg authorities and copy the vet change mailbox, and maybe we can help you with that. But please bear in mind, more than 75% of their MRP-DC products are updated. And most important, there are some products we're not able to update due to some technical issues that are going to be resolved with this new release. So hopefully from next week we have even better news. So, but just identify, send us the information, product identifier and permanent ID. It's fundamental for us to correctly pinpoint the products, and then we can try and help you with the updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Catarina, for the update. Then there is a very good question that we also received it also in vet change, and I think it's important, from Mirela. Is it possible for MAH to withdraw the submitted VNRA if we subsequently notice an error?
Okay, I can take this one, Alejandro. So it's not possible. So today, same, when you submit a variation or when the competent authority approves or rejects, we cannot change in UPD anything. So if you submit a variation and you realize that there was something incorrect, what we suggest is that you contact the competent authority and you request that they reject this variation. And also they can add in the rejection comment that they were contacted, they can add a clarification. So in the history of the variations, the clarification will be always there. So this is the approach: to contact the competent authority. They can reject the variation and you can submit again the variation.
Thank you, Ana. Then in view of the time, we'll take one more question from Michael Colmorhen. The PI file size limit of a single file of 2 megabytes is quite restrictive. As this limit is only 1% of the usual VNRAs file size limit, are there plans to increase it?
So, Michael, I don't know if this is a restriction for the VNRAs checker. We don't have any restrictions in UPD. We have files with more than 2 megabytes, PI files. If you can send your query to the change, we will be happy to answer to you. And just put an example because we don't have in UPD such limitation. Okay, maybe it's a limitation from VNRAs, and maybe we need to check with them if something could be done. But UPD will not check the PI size, and we don't have currently a limit to 2 megabytes.
Okay, thank you, Anna. We hope you found this session very useful and you are now more familiarized and comfortable with working with VNRAs and what's coming next in terms of releasing plan and functionalities. Also, a complementary session on other UPD functionalities, automation of pharmacovigilance information is expected to be settled later in the year. And as usual, we will inform you in our newsletter and on the EMA corporate website in due course. We'll also, after this meeting, as we said, circulate the presentation and also a survey to participants to ask you for feedback so that we can improve future events. I would like to thank panelists, Olivier, Anna, Katarina, and for the presentations, and all the attendees for your active participation in today's webinar. Please reach out via email at vetchange.program@ema.europa.eu should you or your colleagues have any questions or need more clarification. We wish you a lovely day, and thanks again for attending the session. Bye-bye for now.